For the last 6 or 7 months, I've been telling you about why I won't buy properties on Arrived Homes. And today I went ahead and bought my first property on Arrived. It's a little single family home in Northeast Tennessee. Nothing really special about it. I'm not even going to dig into the details of this property. I only spent $100, which is the minimum. It's 10 shares at $10 a share. Uh, I, you know, it's not a particularly compelling investment. It does have a little bit higher cash flow expectation than most of the other ones I looked on the platform, but I had an ulterior motive. And what is that? So I've been talking about the arrived secondary market coming for a while. This is something that they've, talked about, hinted at, put out a little bit of information on. This first came out February 5th, but they actually gave us some updated info on it. And there's a couple of things that I think are important. A couple of people in the Discord pointed out most of this information already. So if you are already part of our Discord, you probably saw this stuff earlier today. They caught it earlier than I did, and somebody who is already invested on Arrived, I think, had got an email from them. I really appreciate it. This is the whole reason that we have the Discord set up, is so that all of us fractional real estate investors can get together, talk about any of the platforms, all of the platforms, any of the strategies, individual properties. Obviously, you always want to do all your own due diligence, um, but it gives us the chance to benefit from the work of others, and so I appreciate you guys jumping in and sharing some info. Before I forget, please like and subscribe. Hit the little bell button if you haven't done that. And then also in the description to this video, there's a link to the Discord channel that I just mentioned. It's just a generic fractional real estate investors channel for us to talk about all different platforms. It's not a sales funnel. You can get in there and we're just having sharing ideas and whatnot. There's also in the description to this video links to all the platforms where I do currently invest in fractional real estate. Uh, do your own due diligence on those platforms. Don't just buy on them because I do, and all the same thing with the properties themselves. But so why am I excited about the secondary market? One of the things, if you look at Lofty, for example, the average offering when it's a new offering on there is not a great deal. Most of them have been pretty terrible deals as initial offerings. But over time, the people that bought those decide they want to cash out, and what they paid $50 for, I've paid as low as $8.50 for when I buy them from the sellers, right? From the people who bought in at a time when it wasn't, they just paid too much. But then, now that it's at a price that I think it makes a lot of sense for investing, and that's been my strategy on that platform. Um, Although, if you've been watching my channel lately, I think there's a whole bunch of problems with the platform itself and the way things work, and it makes it really difficult to do any sort of volume on there and still make money. Although with the amount of money that I have on there at the moment, I am doing perfectly well, and so you can tell most days I'm somewhat torn. I am still on there regularly and whatnot, but that's not what we're talking about today. So on Arrived, up until now, you've only been able to put cash in and buy properties, and unless that property sold in real life, you had no exit. Well, they've been talking about having the secondary market for a long time, and what they're going to do is once a quarter, and they say for 1 week once a quarter, although it looks like this first time it's not going to go that way. Um, they're going to open trading, and people are going to have the ability to buy or sell with limit orders. And I'm anticipating that there will be some true discounts to where a deal that was just a ho hum deal on their platform, which is most of them. Most of their deals, in my mind, are just not great deals. They're okay deals. On average, if you've invested on Arrived, you've probably done a little better than you have on average investing on Lofty. That's just my guess. I mean, and I guess it depends on what these shares end up trading for. Um, but I'm hopeful that now that they have a secondary market, that there's going to be the opportunity to get some of these discounts. Now, there might not be. Like Arc 7 has had a secondary market for a while, and you never really see good discounts on there. And so one of the things that's going to happen is, Arrived is going to give you their valuation. They're going to tell you what they think the share should trade at, And they said, we're not setting a price, but we expect most people will be trading somewhere around there. They also, I want to say, they put a limit on how high over that price you could be, but I didn't see something about how far under. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at that because it occurs to me that that might become a little bit more important, and I should have really dug into it more. Obviously, I'm just trying to again start the conversation, but there's one reason I wanted to rush and get this video out, and that's why I bought a share today. So I'm going to go into that first. Is okay, these are the trading windows starting in August, September, and November. August, September, November. That's interesting that they're skipping October. I wonder why August. Anyway, who's eligible to buy? All investors with one plus settled investment made at least 90 days prior to the trade. And this isn't actually written really clearly. I'm hoping it doesn't mean 90, or I mean, I said 90, at least 60 days prior to the trade. I hope it doesn't mean prior to the trading window. I hope it means actually prior to when that trading happens. But in any case, it's July right now. I'm going to miss all the August trading. I'll miss probably half of the September trading or two-thirds, but hopefully I'll be able to get in on here. So it's not really clear because they have these long, where they're launching properties, and then in November it says all eligible properties, but they said it's going to be a 1 week window. So I don't know. Maybe this first time it's going to be a longer window. I'm not really sure. And then it said starting next year, it'll operate quarterly with windows every February, May, August, and November. So this is why I rushed to find a property on there today to buy just a minimum that I could, so that hopefully I'll be eligible, sometime mid-September to be able, 60 days from now, to be able to take part in this secondary market. If you're already invested on the platform, I think you're good to go. Uh, I think for the most part, Arrive just hasn't been a great opportunity in my mind because their stated returns are just so low relative to other platforms. But some of the people that are going to sell shares right now have had their money tied up in this, since 2022, right? Or earlier. So their earliest properties launched through March 2022. So 2022 or earlier is going to be the beginning ones. But so, some of them are going to have been in there for a long time. What else? Oh, they gave us the list of the first 80. These are the ones that are going to be sold in August or up for sale in August. There's a couple of things in addition to that I wanted to mention. Um, you have to hold the shares for at least 60 days before you can sell them again. And so that means you're not going to be able to buy them during you're always going to have to wait till the next quarter to sell them when you buy them. So there's not going to be any of these quick flips like we see on Lofty. I think that's kind of unfortunate. That's where I'm making a lot of my really best returns is, being able to buy it and then turn around and sell it. So they're trying to set this up in a way that it's creating liquidity, but that you don't just have these, big, you don't have these wild swings. They're trying to tell you, okay, we think it should be worth X. You're obviously can list it for what you want, but it should be somewhere around there. Um, we're not going to let you just buy it and sell it right away. You have to already have been active on our platform, which, I think that's a pretty minimal requirement, at least one settled investment 60 days prior. One of the things that I was a little bit worried when I first looked at this is, did I have to actually own a share in that particular property to buy more shares in that property? But I don't think that that's what they're saying. I think you just have to have had a share of any property to be able to buy. Um, and I think that because, when they said in their little why is it important, let's see how it works, why it matters, access to missed opportunities. So we can buy shares in ones that we missed the first time. So I think it definitely doesn't mean what I was worried it meant at first. Um, I don't know. I'm really torn about the 1 week trading window. I think that it doesn't give a lot of time for people to put their shares up and then uh, realize that their price is ridiculous and then lower it. Although at the same time, towards the end of that trading window, it will create sort of a, you won't be able to just wait and see, right? You're either going to liquidate it now or you're going to wait 3 more months. So maybe there's going to be some good moves, some good price movements in there. But yeah, so anyway, I like the Arrive platform in general. I think that they're probably the most established platform. Their user interface is actually pretty cool. I had never used it before, but playing with it a little bit today, I like how it works, how what your portfolio looks like. Buying stuff is super easy. We'll see how selling stuff works. Um, but yeah, it's just, historically, there just haven't been deals that I thought were particularly interesting deals because one of the reasons is most of the profit comes from appreciation. Like most of these are very low cash flow. But the other one is there's just such high fees built into, fees and expenses built into creating the securities and listing them the way they are. It's really hard for a single family property to overcome those fees and still create a good return. That's why I've really been anticipating, and excited about this secondary market because if I can get into some of these deals, but at a good price, I think it'll make a lot more sense to buy in. I think that's really everything I wanted to mention about this. I am curious if other people have been looking forward to this. If there's property, how you're going to go about it. I mean, because it's a lot of properties to tackle, right? Like um, once everything's said and done, there's going to be 419 eligible properties to look at. Uh, or I think, and it's going to be a short trading window, so I think things are going to happen quickly. Like it's not as if I'm going to be able to just okay, look, sort, see what the cheapest ones are, and then do my due diligence, right? I'm going to have to try to identify up front where those opportunities are. Now, for me, maybe I am going to have more time because I won't get to jump on those early investments. But really, what's going to happen is I think I'll just miss the early ones. Um, but yeah, that's really, I just wanted to put that out there, share this info. Thanks again, guys, for sharing this in the Discord. I think that that's super helpful. Whenever there's news on any other platform that's fractional real estate investing related, I always love to hear it. If you are interested in getting into that secondary market, you do have to, at least my understanding of this is you're going to have to buy something soon, where you're going to miss the window. Um, and there are a whole bunch of FAQs and whatnot. I'm sure there's going to be hopefully a little bit more info that, as we get closer. Of course, once the marketplace actually opens up, I'll be excited to see how it works. They're showing you like what the order book's going to look like. I did think there was something else. Yeah, you're going to be able to limit sell. You can sell shares. I really thought that they told us. I'm going to look it up and I'll get back to you guys about how what the limitations they've put on your pricing, or if somebody knows, feel free to put that in the comments or jump in the Discord and talk about it. I'm sure as we get closer, I know I'm not the only one who's been excited about this. A lot of people, there's a lot of people that have been on Arrived, and are just okay with the level of returns that they're getting so far, but have been looking forward to this as well. So if that's you, let me know and let's figure out how we can tackle this. Maybe together, right? Maybe we start looking at deals. Well, I mean, this is going to be kind of a lofty situation where you have, limited. Maybe we can't all, if we're all thinking about the same properties. This might, yeah, I don't know. It's not, there's going to be limited shares at any particular price. Um, so maybe it doesn't make sense to share info that way. Although, uh, I don't know. At the moment, we're also still a small community. I'm really curious how many shares we're going to see. I think the ones that were sold, 3+ years ago, there's a good chance a lot of those people want out now. Um, the stuff that's only been on there, for a shorter period of time, I would guess less so, but we'll see. Anyway, that is it for me for today. Now I had to just tell you I was wrong. I told you I wouldn't buy Arrived Homes, and now I bought one. So until next time, I'm gonna just keep being wrong about stuff so that you don't have to.